been organizing online racing series for 3 years. And since moving to iRacing in 2020, we've crowned 3 champions. With some of the best multi-class racing found anywhere. Now it's time to up the ante by adding a 3rd class. During the next 3 months, we're holding 3 races. The road to Season 3 starts now. Hello everybody and welcome to Silverstone in Northamptonshire for race number 1 of the Night Racing League Summer Super Series. As I say, we are here at Silverstone for the first of 3 races that's going to set the grid for Season 3, which will kick off in September. We've got 3 classes for the very first time, and we're very much looking forward to a great race. 90 minutes here today on the classic GP circuit. Cars are just out on their warm-up. We've got a little bit of a different format for you here. That is Marcel Struff in the Porsche 911 GT3. And we have a lot of new drivers to show you. There's Ines Bothma, who debuted at Le Mans a couple of weeks ago in the 395, actually won the GT3 class. When we only had 4 cars, we have a much bigger field here today. And we'll just show you, tell you what's going on this summer series. 3 races over the next 3 months. Season 2 being completed, we decided we're not going to run a championship through the summer months just because of availability and not being able to get people out every other week. Let them enjoy their summer. But what we are doing is recruiting and adding drivers for what should be the greatest season on iRacing for endurance drivers. We plan to have 50 cars on the grid, and this is the first step towards that. We've added a ton of new drivers. We have 54 signed up for this championship. The GT3 AM class open to drivers with a B license and a 2K I rating or less. It's the entry-level class. And we should have incredible competition. A lot of the drivers, a bunch of drivers from the GTE series have moved into the GT3 class. They've got their own championship to race for. There is Jens Wolters in the 24 BMW M8, of course, running in the GTE Pro class. Jens a race winner, and he is one of the drivers in a star-studded field, including 2-time champion Jennifer McDonald, Hayden Fowler, Kevin Hensel. We've got an incredible field of returning drivers and new drivers in the A-license unlimited GTE Pro class. And GTE has always been the place to go for excitement. And we expect nothing different in Season 3. There is Paul Seeley in the 72 Night Racing Esports Dallara P217. And a little different here as well with the 3 classes, the Summer Super Series being used to fill the LMP field. We said we plan to have 50 drivers, 12 LMP cars, and 18 grid slots in both the GTE Pro and GT3 AM classes. And the caveat here is that to race in the LMP2 class, you need to have a KRL Super license. This qualification has been added for the Summer Super Series and for Season 3 to ensure that drivers in this fastest and smallest class, A, can handle traffic, are able to race side by side. They're not going to be punting slower classes out of the way, which you see all the time, let's face it, in other places. And also, because it's a small class and we want to have the championship mean something, these drivers are committed to the full season. So they've got to have multiple races of clean driving, plus be committed to the Season 3 schedule. And that gets you a KRL Super License for LMP2. And that way the GT classes can race as they're supposed to race and not worry about people who haven't practiced, people who are just doing one-off races coming in and ruining their season. That will not happen here, as the super license requirement in effect. And the format is a different 90-minute race here today, and the open qualifying is gone for the moment. They're still talking about it for Barcelona. We'll keep you informed on that one. But these guys have done lone qualifying. They're just finishing their warm-up right now, so why don't we have a look as Struff has a little bit of a spin there. Why don't we have a look at the qualifying results? On pole is Wayne Wortley in the LMP class with a 146.003. He'll line up beside Dean Ellico, who nipped the front row at the last minute with a 147.029. Inside row 2 is Paul Seeley, a 147.071. Lining up inside his teammate Keith Rainey. The 3 Night Racing Esports cars here today, a 147.194. Andreas Schwarz did not get a qualifying time in, whether track limits or the strict qualifying scrutiny getting in the way. He will start 5th in the LMP class. In GTE, it's Jacques Botha on pole with a 156.246, lining up alongside Kevin Hensel, a 156.382. Row 2 is Andreas Sakalas from Sweden at 156.481, lining up beside Hayden Fowler, the winner of the Silverstone race in Season 1, a 156.842. Jens Wolters will line up inside row 3, a 156.867, with Mark Sonnen of Belgium, a 156.990. Zach Vorster, newcomer, inside row 4, and Nick Johnson with us from the U.S. also did not get a qualifying time in. He will line up beside Vorster. The GT3 AM class kicks off in earnest with Jan Spammers on the pole, a 202.365 alongside Marcel Struff, who looks fantastic with a 203.047. Jaco Stein and Forrest Ellico in row number 2, a 203.156 and 897 respectively, with newcomer Lincoln Russell inside row 3 with a 204.041. He'll line up alongside the Le Mans winner, Ines Bachma, who put a 204.338. Dale Clough will be in a row all of his own, and that is your starting grid here for 90 minutes at Silverstone. The schedule as we move forward. We're at Silverstone here today on the 17th of July. We'll have our second race at Barcelona on the historic Grand Prix track. That'll be a 2-hour event before we wrap up the Summer Super Series and set our 50-car grid for Season 3 in the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship. And what better place to finish off the summer at Sebring on the 14th of August, and that, as you can see with the sim time, will be an evening to night race, so the sun will be setting in Sunset Corner at the end of the back straightaway, and then we'll head off to Season 3. The schedule for Season 3 is going to be announced sometime in July, so we're gonna estimate it'll be sometime around the Barcelona race. Things are just being finalized now as the cars head into the pits, and we'll take a small break and then we'll head off for 90 minutes at Silverstone. And as the Porsche pace car awaits the grid in behind, we get ready for 90 minutes here at one of the greatest circuits in the world, Silverstone in the UK. First of the LMPs on grid, there's Keith Rainey in the number 6. And Ines Botma there on the back. We have a lot of new cars and paint jobs, and trying to get the names right for you, and learning the schemes. 20 cars on the grid here today for this first Super Series race. Unfortunately, June is just chock-a-block with things going on, and we had a few conflicts. We expect 40-plus cars at Barcelona in July as we fill this grid in. Everybody pretty much in. Wayne Wortley, the pole sitter, is now on the grid. And the last few stragglers, as we've got 20 seconds left for gridding. There is Forrest Alico, just jumped in at the back in that gray, blue, and red Lamborghini Huracan. And of course, you recognize the Alico name. His father sitting on the front row in the 429. There is Dean as the Porsche pace car pulls away. We talked about 10-second gaps here today. We're testing out all the formats in preparation for Season 3, getting everything settled. As the GTEs are now running as well. And Wayne Wortley from South Africa will lead the grid to the green flag for the first 3-class race in the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship. And we are green at Silverstone. And a great start for Paul Seeley as Dean Alico has dropped back. The GT3s are away. That is Jacques Botha in the lead and Hensel right in behind. Andreas Schwarz has made the move there, and Alico has dropped all the way to the back. Meanwhile, GT3 AM is away, and Jan Spammers has the lead in the red Lamborghini. And in the pits is Nick Johnson. So something has happened at the back of the GTE Pro class. Johnson has gone to pit road. As we get underway here in lap number 1, the GTEs all close. As we come through Woodcote for the first time and into Copse. The LMPs come onto the hangar straight. Paul Seeley up to second place. Ahead of his two teammates. Dean Alico with that spectacular qualifying lap has dropped the 429 to the back of this 5-car grid. And looks like he'll complete lap number 1 in 5th place. And the GTE Pro class setting themselves up for what is usually a close, tight race. The top 5 all together as we complete the first lap. Into the club chicane for the first time, and a nice little lead here for Spammers. The 999 car comes through club And it's a 3-second lead over Marcel Struff, and a nice pack here. Mark Sonnen also in the pits. Marcel Struff in second place, one of the GTE drivers from Season 2 who is switched over to the GT3 AM class. And he's leading Jaco Stein in the 88 car. And that is Lincoln Russell in the gold-rimmed Ferrari 488. And in fifth place, there is Ines Bothma, who raced at Le Mans in sort of the exhibition kickoff for this GT3 class and did very, very well there. As we get back up front, and a little bit of a problem here. Struff is off the track. And the engine on the limiter, I think that's an equipment problem. We're going to get some confirmation there. So everybody moving up, and what a terrible break for the 78 car. And confirmation from the pits, he's having to reset his wheel. Looks like he's got that car up and running, but a great second place start. And Marcel has dropped to the back, 7th place now in the GT3 AM class. Little bit of a push there from Sakalas. Andreas Sakalas in the 717 Porsche RSR. And a move in behind. Jens Wolters is by Hayden Fowler. Good tight stuff in GTE always. And a little bit of a gap out front now. Let's check in. There is Wortley, 3 seconds. The group of cars he's likely going to be running with are at Watkins Glen this weekend, unfortunately. You've got a great battle here. It's a 3-second gap now, 3.5. Rainey now quite tight. With Seeley and closing that gap in for second place. As action back in the GT3 class, Ines Bothma moving his way up the order now as he gets around Lincoln Russell. Bothma now up to third, so a great lap there for the 395. We're going to do our best to keep track of action in all three classes. As Sakalas has made a move and he's up to second place in GTE Pro. Kevin Hensel down to third. I got a feeling we're going to be watching these GTEs most of the day. It's down into Stowe. And they're coming up on Marcel Struff, who's got that Porsche back running again. Just a really unfortunate start for him in the GT3 AM class here. He's really looking forward to it. But plenty of racing to go. 1 hour, 22 minutes in this 90-minute Summer Super Series opener. Kevin Hensel now running third behind the Swede in the 717 Porsche. And the first time the GTEs in the Night Racing League have had a class to have to get their way through during a race. Everybody, of course, here are endurance drivers and familiar with it in other series. But none of those other series with 10 and 6x incident limits. That's a little change as well for this. With the 3 classes being introduced, they've upped the first drive-through to 10x, just in case there was a little more incidental contact. We haven't really seen any. So that's something that will be under review, and we will be fine-tuning all the rules for Season 3 as we go through this summer. As we go on board the 24 of Jens Wolters. Down the hanger straight, currently in 4th place. And he's going to have a look. But that's all it is a look. As Kevin Hensel, his countryman, tries. Oh, it's a little wide for Kevin. And that's going to give Jens a little bit of a run here through club. Watching the gaps up front, it is becoming a very close thing here in LMP as we're going to jump over to this battle. Paul Seeley now coming under pressure in the 72 car from his teammate Keith Rainey and Andreas Schwarz, who has made it up. Dean Ellico has slipped off the back. You see him there just a second back as Schwarz is looking racy. And they are now coming through the back of the GT3 AM class. We understand there's a little bit of jittering on the screen, and we are trying to work with that. We're lowering the bit rate a little bit. Not sure why we're having that issue, but we'll work on it as the LMPs are now all over each other through here, and Rainey is going to get by Seeley. He got caught out there. Schwarz tries to have a look. And he's on the inside as we're going to head down the Wellington Straight side by side. Andreas Schwarz. He's got a pickup there. That's Lincoln Russell in the Ferrari. And late braking into Brooklands, and Andreas Schwarz up to 3rd place. And a little tap there. Looks like he kind of sideswiped the 395 of Enos Bachma. That could be an early 4X, and there exactly is the reason. A little more incidental, and they have 10X to play with here. We're all going to see how that works out. So Seeley, after making his way up from a 2nd row start to 2nd place, has now dropped to 4th as they come through the GT3 class for the first time. Meanwhile, we're back at this battle for 3rd place in the GT Pro class. As action now, it's going to be thick and fast here. And a pass on the grass for the 429. Dean Ellico closes that gap up. And Paul Seeley now has dropped from 2nd to 5th. Takes a peek, but nothing doing there. A little bit of a flash coming through at Abbey. And now we check back in with this GTE Pro battle. Sakalas getting just a little bit of a gap now, as Henselsmeers are filled with the M8 of Volters. Fowler right there as well. And Andreas Sakalas now starting to pull away and close that gap on Botha in first place. As we come by the 30 of Zach Vorster and Andreas Schwarz having another look. Didn't get a qualifying time in, but showing he's got plenty of pace here. Rainey will maintain that through Copse. What a battle this is going to be with these 4 drivers in LMP2. As we approach the first 15 minutes completed here in the Summer Super Series. And busy stuff here in LMP. Ellico, after dropping back at the beginning of this race, seems to have gotten everything up to temperature. He regained contact with this group of 3 when they went through the GT3 AM class, and he's now starting to pressure Andreas Schwarz here. Rainey not getting away either. Meanwhile, Sakalas has pulled that gap in. It's under 2 seconds now at the front end of the GTE Pro class. And there they are coming over the start-finish line right now. There is Jacques Botha. And these 2 Porsches could be battling quite soon. You have an idea what happened in the first lap. We've got a bit of a replay here for you. That's the start of GT. You can see a little touch there with Nick. And just ahead of this, we're told that Mark Sonnen had just a little too much throttle, spun the back end up, and hit the inside pit wall. We didn't have that on the replay as the camera was focused on Vorster and Johnson. It was a bit of a light tap, not really sure why Johnson has retired. It looks like that car is out of the race. If it was on one of the suspension bits, maybe they had to do quite a bit of damage, but Vorster is still out there. He's running 53 seconds off the lead. We watched the front end of the GTE Pro class. Jacques Botha in the 888. And that gap continues to come down. Sakalas now only 1.1 seconds behind. Hensel, Volters, and Fowler continue to run 3, 4, 5 in the background as they complete their 9th circuit. It's a 5-second lead for Jan Spammers in GT3 Pro. There's Ines Bothma in 3rd. Jaco Stein up into 2nd place now. This continues to be the closest battle on the track, this GTE Pro, as well as this battle for 2nd. These 4 drivers are now split off into 2 groups of 2. Schwarz and Fowler. As Rainey continues to hold Andreas at bay, this is the time we start to see what kind of strategies these guys are doing. The LMPs are famous for, we usually see 4 strategies. I wouldn't put it past him having 5 cars here to see 4 strategies. There's the 111 of Mark Sonnen. We get a shot of him again. And Mark definitely has some damage there on that right front corner. We're told that happened right on the opening of the green flag coming out of club. It spun the back end up and made some contact with that inside wall. So Mark toughing it out. He's got the damage fixed and staying out of the way, getting his race distance in. And up front, Paul Seeley now starting to really put some pressure on the 429 of Dean Ellico. And there's a move down into Brooklands. Ellico will have the outside here. Seeley holds it in. He should have a little more momentum on the exit. But Ellico's got the inside. The teammates going at it, and Dean will hold that position. Side by side through Copse is not in the manual. All right, so this street thing is bothering me. I think I'm going to do something that we have never done before, and it's going to look really unprofessional. But I'm just going to try and lower the... as Seeley goes for another run here, and he's got that position into Stowe, up to 4th place. I got a 72 with a great toe out of Beckett's, and he gets the pass done here. And the gap now 3 seconds up to the 2nd place battle. As they're coming through this meet of the GTE Pro class. As I said, I'm going to try to fix this jittering, so please bear with us. If the screen goes a little weird, we'll have to pull up the menu here. We're going to watch these LMPs come through here. Great stuff. Seeley now on the outside. He's pushed it too wide, and that's a spin. So after all that work getting back into fourth place, the 72 is going to drop back again with a very simple driving error. He was going to take those GTEs on the outside of Luffield, it looked like, and he just caught the grass. Schwarz goes on the inside of Beckett's. Has to wait for Chappell to get it done. I think he realized he wasn't really in a good spot there. That closes the battle for the lead in GT Pro. Right up now is Sakalis. And what has happened there? Did he get a slowdown? Why did Schwarz drop straight back? He flashes his lights again. Botha, I'm sure, has had enough of this. And Ellico has closed right on the back. And here they come, side by side. No pass, but Ellico now clear of the challenge from behind, and he's putting it straight to Andre Schwarz in front. Wolters now has been separated from Hensel, who is also pulling himself back into this fight for the lead. The traffic giveth and the traffic taketh away. And Botha's got a fight on his hand now as the 717 is right there. They come up on the GT3 of Marcel Struff, who almost closed the door there. Seeley's finally made his way through there as well, gets it done before Maggots, but Sakalis right on the back end now, and so is Hensel. A three-way fight for the lead. Sakalis on the inside, Botha on the outside, Hensel watching. Sakalis will take the lead. As they go through Stowe, Hensel says, I'll have some of that. But Botha's going to come back at him for club. Fantastic stuff. And the order goes back, and that slows them down a little bit. Here comes Jens Wolters. It's now four-way for the front. Hayden Fowler hoping that they'll just fight a little bit more and he can get a sniff. Again, he's clear of traffic. Sakalis deep on the brakes. As that's the 719 of Forrest Ellico just trying to make room for this battle. Wolters all on the back of Hensel now. They spread out a little bit, maybe taking a break or taking a breath there. We've had a ton of action in the first 30 minutes. We expect that's going to be the case for three-class racing. the LMPs. It's a 7.5 second lead for Wortley. Rainey leads Schwarz. Ellico leads Seeley, who's now dropped back. It's a 4-second gap to the back of that pack because of that little indiscretion in left field. We're watching the GTE Pro class, where we have a 4-way battle for the lead. Spammers now has extended his gap in GT3 AM. It's 12 seconds over Jaco Stein. Enos Bothma is in third, leading Lincoln Russell and Dale Clough. That's your top 5. The closest battle on circuit is this 4-way fight for the lead in GTE Pro. That is Clough there in the Ferrari 488. And Jens gets himself caught up in behind there. Dale does what he can to get out of the way. That was more than necessary, and I think it cost him, actually. We've got a yellow flag now exiting left field. Yeah, Clough did actually get himself off circuit there. Drivers are all told to hold their line. And it's the faster car's responsibility to get by clean. Dale being very accommodative there, and unfortunately it caught him out. Back with the GTE battle. All 3 manufacturers in the top 4. As we've had a change in position here. No, they're back to where they were. But this battle for second has all of a sudden tightened up, whether that was traffic related or what, but Stein, Botha, and Russell now all running together within a second of each other. And Botha looks like he's going to make a move here down the Wellington Straight. He's got the inside and the toe, and not going to happen there. In the back now, Jens Wolters has dropped back, and Hayden Fowler up to 4th. We've got a battle here for second now as Hensel on the outside of Stowe. Still side by side. And he'll get it done. Back up to second place for the 94. And again, I'm looking at the output here. We've had an update, and I can only think something's not working the way it used to. I've been changing some settings here to try and get this stuttering. As back through comes Sakalas. These two swap positions back and forth. Not done yet as Hensel comes back at him. A little flash behind there you see from Hayden Fowler. Wolters has now dropped back and is off does not have touch with Fowler there. We're going to stick with these guys battling for second. Botha has been released again. He's got 3 seconds now after having to defend his lead. Andreas Schwarz is now closed in on the back of Keith Rainey. We're watching that gap closely. As we said at the top of the show, if you want action, you look at the GTE Pro class. A quick check-in here as Bothma is back in second place. Jaco Stein in third. There he is in the 88 911 GT3. These three have not been more than a second and a half apart for the entire race. Bothma a little wide there, and it's going to give a look to Stein. And we've got a yellow flag up in club. It looks like Marcel is still having troubles with that steering wheel. He's been having to reset it a couple of times now, and looks like that's happening again. So the 78 car off circuit at the moment. Lincoln Russell getting a nice entry there, getting himself close as we're going to watch a little GT3M action here after so much going on in the GTE Pro class. So much going on, in fact, missed the fact that we crossed over the first 30 minutes. We're going to be seeing pit stops here very soon. It'll be the LMP's first, of course. Both GT classes restricted to 75% fuel cells, which gets the pit stop action a little more interesting here in this 90-minute race. Should be a one-stopper for the GTs, but they're going to have to save some fuel if they don't want to have a splash and go. We all remember what happened in Season 1, where all three of the top 3 GTE cars had to come for a splash of fuel on the last lap of the race. 2 of them sped in pit road, and that handed the win to Hayden Fowler in the 28 car. He was the only one of the 3 that made pit road speed on time. What a finish that was, and it looks like we could be in for a couple of great finishes here. Bothma again, very, very wide entering Luffield. He likes to diamond that corner. Enters very wide and then comes down for a late apex, trying to get the power on early. That beautiful sounding Mercedes AMG. And a little wide there. That would be a 1X. And it's given Stein a look, and he's going to take that position on the entry to Maggots. Russell all over the back there, but has to get in line. Here comes the LMP leader in behind. past his countryman. And Botha sets himself up. Sorry, Bothma sets himself up for another look. How many times am I going to do that? Botha, your GTE Pro leader. Bothma, third place in GT3 AM. And it looks like all of the LMPs have started their 22nd lap. That's going to be pretty much on the limit for them. I'm going to say we're going to see at least some pit stops at the completion of this circuit. As Bothma gets the toe, but not close enough for a move. Here comes second and third in LMP. Rainey takes the outside on Luffield. And having to just back out there as Copse was coming up. That's going to give Bothma a run again as they enter Maggots. And back to second for the 395. Meanwhile, up front, Wayne Wortley in the 48 is coming to pit road. We expect the LMPs to all be coming down here shortly. Rainey is in, as is Schwarz behind him. There is Seeley as well. What about Dean Ellico? Yes, Dean Ellico is right in front. Seeley actually pulls in quite a bit of that space on the entry to pit road. We'll see if he can get himself back in contact with this group. Meanwhile, back up, there is Jan Spammers, your GT3 Pro leader in that beautiful red Lamborghini. As all the LMPs are in the pits. And does that look like tires? I'm trying to get a look at pit road here. And it's Seeley that's going away. Wortley is away. Schwarz is on the jack. He's taking tires. I think Wayne Wortley also took tires in that 48 car. Seeley is out of the pits first and has the lead in LMP. There he is. We checked the pit times. 22 seconds stopped for Paul Seeley. That is a short fill. 33 for Rainey. That's a full fill. Wortley, 47, which would be a short fill with tires. Ellico a full fill. And Andreas Schwarz looks like a full fill with tires to get him to the end of the race. So there you go. I think we've got 4 different strategies. The LMPs never cease to entertain. As Schwarz finally gets out of the pits, 2 minutes and 12 seconds his pit road time. That is a full minute longer than the other competitors. I wonder if he got a pit road speeding penalty as well. If he had to stop for 40 seconds. As we check back in here in GT3 AM, a little wiggle by Bothma, and that's going to allow Stein back into second place. How many passes for position has Lincoln Russell seen through his windscreen in the first 43 minutes of this race? Biding his time, maybe. Maybe they can get into a little bit over their head and gift him a position. Bothma off circuit. That's a chance now for the Ferrari. Surely he's going to get by, and does. Lincoln Russell up to third place. This is a high tire wear circuit, and these guys have been scrapping all day long. As the GTE pros are coming into the pits, Kevin Hensel and Hayden Fowler stay out. They will take the lead in GTE Pro. Botha and Sakalas both in the pits. Botha with some work to do now. Volters has also made his way to pit road. And that's very interesting. Lap 22, the same lap. I mean, obviously they were down the road a little bit. But the LMPs and the GTE Pro cars both getting the same number of laps. Here's Keith Rainey now in second place. And there you see Seeley, the gap. Jens Volters has made it out of the pits first. He will leapfrog Andreas Sakalas. Vorster in there as well. Here is Wayne Wortley, who now with fresh tires has dropped to third place. But he seems to have had the pace, and with fresh rubber is going to continue to have the pace. And we'll see if he can hunt down and beat these alternate strategies. Rainey pretty much on a straightforward strategy, full fuel, no tires. Seeley has leapfrogged the field with a short fuel, no tires, but he's going to have to pay the piper later. Let's see if that light fuel load can get him a gap. It's 3 seconds at the moment, as Wayne Wortley is all on the back of Keith Rainey here. And we think that 48 car also has a lighter fuel load. So with fresh tires and a lighter fuel load, this would be like a qualifying run for the 48. We'll see if he can make short work of the American here. Way wide. 10X is the drive-through as Hensel and Fowler are in the pits. The Night Racing Esports car is getting an extra lap and pitting after lap 22, 23. Back to this battle for what is now second place in LMP2. They're coming through. There are the GT3Ms now making their way to pit road. Spammers is in. Russell is in. We saw Bothma come in. And Jaco Stein has stayed out, and he will temporarily inherit the lead in the GT3 AM class. As rejoining there is, that is Fowler. Kevin Hensel still in the pits. And he's getting tires in the 94. He just drops off the jacks as we check in. Sakalas passes him as he comes out of pit road. So lots of different strategy as the rest of the GT3 AM class is in the pits. Spammers, Ellico, Russell, Bothma, Cloth, all on pit road. And Jens Volters continues as we go 3 wide. Ellico's going to pull back in. Volters making the pass there on the GT3 car. Dean Ellico arriving at the wrong time for that to work. Everybody through clean, and you can see Rainey has now pulled a gap on Wortley. So again, the traffic giving and taking away. There is Jacques Botha, and after the pit cycle, he's got himself a 6-second gap. Those cars that were chasing him, Sakalas and Hensel, looks like they have both taken tires. Sakalas for sure, Hensel has taken tires. Botha, Fowler, as around at Club Chicane is Dean Ellico. Just a little lazy spin by himself. He hasn't hit anything, but that's going to cost him time. Still a very large gap back to Andreas Schwarz, who I am going to say, my gut is telling me he had a pit lane speed violation, and then he took fuel and tires on top of that. So he's well down the road here. The good news is he's got fresh tires. The LMPs, all of them are going to have to make a second stop. Rainey and Ellico with full fuel loads is going to be a splash and go for them. It'll be interesting to see when Seeley and Wortley make their way down pit road. Both of those cars looking like short fuel. Because it's 28 seconds. Looking at 20... Checking my notes here because it was updated. It's 24 seconds to do a tire change. So that means Wortley took about 23 seconds of fuel, which is very, very close to what Paul Seeley took. So the only difference there is the tires on the 48 car. So we'll see how close he can get. It's a 4-second, almost 5-second gap to the lead. And with the same amount of fuel going in those cars, if Seeley can stay ahead of him on track, it'll be a straight fight to the end. Wortley has certainly had the pace. He's the pole sitter, and he had stretched quite a gap in that first stint. There is Wayne now, just getting back to grips with the 6 car. He dropped back a little bit in traffic, but now he's starting to put pressure again on the American. They come by Forrest Ellico in his first race in the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship. And he's driving a Lamborghini, so that's all good in my books. Welcome to the league, Forrest. Ellico comes around Dale Clough, and Wortley now has got the tow. Jaco Stein in the pits in GT3 AM. So he's been doing some fuel saving in that car. "39 minutes remaining. So definitely a one-stopper there. And once again, Rainey just gets himself through that traffic a little slicker than Wortley does and opens that gap a little bit. As they come by the Ferrari of Lincoln Russell, now in 3rd place in GT3 AM. And the top 3 LMPs are very quickly finding themselves all on the same piece of track. There was Seeley, Rainey, and Wortley all together. Jaco Stein is back out of the pits. Fuel only in that car, and he's got Jan Spammers right behind him. Spammers took tires. So that's the swap of position there, but we have a battle for the lead in GT3 AM. Both of these cars should be good to go to the end of the race. We're watching that gap in LMP. If anything happens there, we'll jump Volters back into the pits for a second time. And are we going to start seeing our first drive-throughs? Just watching the telemetry to see if Jens actually stops in his pit box or not. Sakalas has passed him as Wolters is in the pits, and he is stopped in the pit box. So a second stop for Jens. As the LMP battle gets closer and closer. Ellico comes through there, through a back marker. There's Seeley, Rainey, and Wortley all on the same screen. 37 minutes to go here at Silverstone. The first race of the KRL Summer Super Series and the first official 3-class race in the league. And Wortley looks like it's time to start making the move here. This group of two have closed down the lead. It's now 1.3 seconds. So Seeley not able to get away. We know Rainey is on full fuel, but going through traffic and other things, this gap has come down. Maybe Wortley just saving things, sitting in behind Keith. They're gaining on the leader anyway. And with the way the strategies are laid out right now, it is the 72 that he's racing. I mean, obviously he's racing the 6 as well, but they're going to be coming down pit road at different times. It's much more important to be in touch with that 72 car, because if they come down pit road on the same lap or one apart, they're going to have similar fuel loads all the way to the end of this race. Wortley is looking like he wants to get this pass done, though. Wide goes Rainey. That'll be a 1X for sure. They're coming through that GT3 lead battle. Right through Maggots and Beckett's. Just what you want when you're battling for the lead. Excellently done. As Rainey takes him on the inside of Chapel. Here comes Wortley. He's got the toe. And no rhyming intended, but he's going to make the move into Stowe. Rainey sticks it in, though. Great stuff by the 6 car, and he's going to hold that position. And great stuff you saw there through Maggots and Beckett's, side by side with a battle for the lead with GT3 AM. No contact, nobody lost space, and that right there is why the LMPs have a super license. And by the way, Wayne Wortley here, new to the league, raced of course in Le Mans, had a good run going until just some bad luck entering the Ford chicane, but finished the 2 hours. He's here running fantastically well, and could be earning his super license here today in the Night Racing League. And it's looking like we may have lost Jens Wolters. As side-by-side now coming out of Luffield, Wortley has made the move and is up to second. And he now sets his sight on the Canadian out front. That gap has again ebbed and flowed, is 2.7 seconds now. There's Jan Spammers still on the back end of Jaco Stein in the Porsche 911. And Mark Sonnen here looking like he's going to make a position up if we have lost Wolters in the 24 car. 6 laps is the gap, and that'll be a position for the 111. Marcel Struff, it looks like we've lost again as well. We know he was having wheel issues. He's had to reset that a couple of times, and we hear from the pits that he has retired the car. It's unpredictable. He's not sure what's wrong, and doesn't want it to go he doesn't want it to crash when he's in a pack of cars and take out somebody's race. So so retirement from the 78 car as Dean Ellico now comes through that GT3 Pro battle. That'll be your drinking game all summer, is how many times I say the wrong class. Up front, Jacques Botha in the 888 RSR. And he's got himself that comfortable lead back. The pit stops really worked out well for him, and if his tire management is going well, he's got a 5.5 second lead now over Hayden Fowler, who really seems to be the only contender there. Hayden, they are both fuel only, both Jacques and Hayden. The next car who did not take tires is the 5th place car of Zach Vorster. As Worley now on the tail end of the 72, and we have a battle for the lead in LMP2. Nothing urgent at the moment. Wayne's just going to sit there, watch the lines. Make his move where he can. We're on board with the 48 car. Old tires on that 72 in front, but everything looks pretty tidy. On the throttle nice and early, and he'll have the tow as they head down the hangar straight. As we cross over 30 minutes to go here at Silverstone. This is your battle for the lead in LMP2. As we check back in, that is Lincoln Russell and Enos Bothma. That's your battle for 3rd place as into the pits. At the end of lap 33, Wayne Wortley is in. So 11 laps on that fuel. Seeley has stayed out, and that is the 999 of Jan Spammers has spun. And that's in Kops, and he's all by himself. And that gives Jaco Stein a big lead in GT3 AM. Spammers back up to speed, but the gap now 8 seconds. Behind them, this is Russell and Bothma still fighting for 3rd. The two battles separated by a tire change. These cars both have tires. Oh, and a little wiggle. We've seen that AMG. Just a little on edge. Just want to check in here as the camera follows Wortley out of the pits. He's dropped to 4th, but we know everybody has to stop. Wayne good to go now to the end of the race. And when is Seeley coming in? There's your 5th place car, Andreas Schwarz, as he's closing the gap down a little bit. It's a 104 now to the leader. Not really going to bother too much about the gap to Wortley as Schwarz still has to pit. And this battle has been starting to percolate. That's Dale Clough and Forrest Ellico. And they are fighting for 5th place in GT3 AM and have been very close on the track here. We're going to keep tabs on that as the LMP2 leader comes through. Maybe the 72 picked the wrong side. Seeley down there. Dale gives him the apex. Good stuff. And you know everybody's doing their job well when the gap between those two GT cars doesn't change when the cars go through. So great job by Dale there. Made it very clear where he wanted that LMP to go. He ran his racing line, and then when he could, he left the racing line open for the LMP to go through. So great job there by the 18 car. As Alico gets a little run there. And still on the inside, but it's going to tuck it back in before we get to Cops. Meanwhile, we're still watching up front. Paul Seeley has not come to pit road. Where is he? Just came out of Chapel. Quickest on the circuit that last time by a 1:48.0. It's not the fast lap of the race, of course. That is held by Wayne Wortley, a 1:46.4. But he's quickest on circuit now as Alico now on the outside. Oh, the camera. And he's going to hold that position there. Checking back in with Sakalas. 3rd place for the Swede here. And again, he's separated from the lead 2 by a tire change. But he's got himself a nice little gap there on Kevin Hensel in the 94. As Seeley is in the pits. So we'll watch as Wayne Wortley here is by, and he will overtake the Canadian on pit road. There is Seeley, but the pit stop swap does not work out. He is 7 seconds back. Now remember, Wayne had that gap earlier. It was bigger than 7 seconds, took tires, but he was able to stay close enough that, and obviously the outlaps as well. We have to say that. He pitted 3 laps ago, and so that the outlaps there, quicker than what Seeley was putting in, and he has jumped the Canadian and is in 3rd place waiting for Keith Rainey to do his splash and go. Dean Alico won't be an issue, I don't believe, as he is, yeah, just 7 seconds up the road, so that's not a fighting position. There is Rainey now, who leads the LMP2 class, being chased by the 48. It's a 37-second gap, and I gotta tell you, that sounds like it's not going to be done. Rainey's going to have to, it's only a splash and go, but the time on pit road is going to be, it's going to be more than that. Let's just see here. Wayne, he was stopped for 21 seconds, so even if Keith only needs 10 seconds of fuel, let's take 11 seconds off that gap. It was a 54.9 seconds on pit road, so even if you take 11 seconds off the stop, you're looking at a 43, 44 second time on pit road, and the gap right now is 36. As Alico continues to pressure Clough. .22.5 minutes left here at Silverstone. Wortley coming through here now. Every little bit of holdup is gravy for Keith Rainey. Ellico tucked right in there. This is the best battle on track. Lincoln Russell and Lucas Bothma are together as well, just up front. As the LMPs separate these two, that is Seeley coming through now in 4th place. I think every LMP has held every position in this race. It's going to be a little while before we see these guys. It was after lap 22 that all the LMPs pitted for the first time. So if Rainey and Ellico are on full fills, it should be lap 44, which will be very close to 10 minutes left, somewhere in that range. As Andreas Sakalas comes up on this incredibly tight battle for 5th place in GT3 AM. Times his exit, and oh, that's Zach Forrester actually. Similar paint jobs. And he'll get it done as we head into Brooklands, and a little wide there. That was maybe an opportunity for Ellico. Check in with Hayden Fowler here. 4.6 seconds the gap as that is coming down. You see the lap times last time around. Botha, well, they're just crossing the line now. Botha 59.5 and Fowler a 58.3. So the season 1 Silverstone winner is now looking like he might have something to see if he can repeat here. He's got 20 minutes to get close enough. As there was a brief shot of your GT3 AM leader, there he is, Jaco Stein, in his first race in the KRL. And doing a great job. He's got a 25-second lead now. Spammers, of course, had that spin in Cops. And since then, Stein has really had it his way, as in front, Ellico has made the pass on Dale Clough, and we have a change for position in GT3. And Wayne Wortley now starting to put the laps in. You see the blue on the screen. He's the fastest car on track. And it's the first time we've seen cars in the 47 handle in a little while. Seeley's putting in some quick ones. A 48 dead there for the 72. Much quicker than the first and second place cars. And that's a gap we should be interested in as we're talking about pit road times. If it's going to be about 44 seconds. Seeley coming by, that was Sakalas in the other factory Porsche colored RSR. But if we're talking about a 44-second pit road time here for Keith Rainey, he has a 41.5-second lead on the 72 car, who is good to go. He's already made his pit stop. So we'll watch that gap very closely here as we wait for the splash and goes from the top two in LMP. The gap in GTE Pro has not changed. It's still 4.8, 4.9 seconds. And that time around, Botha was actually quicker than Hensel, or quicker than Fowler. And there is Hensel, as Wayne Wortley now. I wouldn't say it looks like he's pushing. I think he's got to know that that gap is going to be pretty safe for him. He's got to keep that thing clean and maintain his lap times, and I think he's going to be in good shape here. There's Hayden Fowler now in the 28 car. Pulling a little time back on this lap. Sector times kind of ebbing and flowing. As here comes Wortley. It does look a little like he's getting those moves done a little more, not forcefully is not the right word. That was all good, but he doesn't look like he's wanting to hang about at all. Andreas Schwarz has been putting in some great times and actually some purple sectors. But he is also going to have to pit, so the gap to Ellico is not really that important there. He's still suffering from that very, very long pit stop he had. As we're 3 wide down into Brooklands, Seeley gets the job done. Stein, not wanting to have too much to do with that, kept it very wide and let the 2 faster class cars go through. He has a very comfortable lead here and 15 minutes to get to the checkered flag and win his first Night Racing League Sports Car Championship event. Spammers and Russell now very, very close. As we'll take a quick look at them. Lincoln Russell really has had himself a nice clean day, and he was right behind that battle for the longest time, just watching it, staying out of trouble, and here he is now, closed right back in on the tail end of Spammers. You saw just a glimpse of Enos Bothma right there in the background, so these 3 are coming together. Spammers is kind of falling back into their clutches, and we'll see what happens here in GT3 as these final 15 minutes play out. Meanwhile, Wortley puts in the quickest lap that time around, immediately supplanted by Andreas Schwarz, who has nothing to do but put him down. He's got nothing to lose here. And he's got to hope some of these guys have trouble either entering pit road or something. There is Rainey catching up with Ellico kind of at a bad time, but gets through. That'll have cost him a few tenths. The gap to Seeley is 42.7 seconds. And those pit stops are going to be coming very shortly in LMP. We think the GT classes, both of them are good to go. There's a little bit of fuel management to do, but they should be able to go on one stop. Spammer's the only driver to have been on pit road twice, and you could see it was a drive-through penalty for incident limits. That is what has dropped him back into the clutches of Russell. And that gives us a good a good indicator, because now I can look at it on the timing screens. It takes 34 seconds to go down pit road on the limiter, because the 999 car has just done it while serving a drive-through. So you can apply all of that math to the 6 car when he comes down pit road here. There is the 72 who is chasing him. And we believe Wortley will make it through clean, so that splash and go is your battle for second place in the LMP2 field. Wortley puts down a 46.8. He's starting to have fun with it now. It's not the fast lap of the race, but it's awfully darn close, and he's caught the second place car now of Dean Ellico. Remember, that 429 has to peel off and get a few liters of fuel to finish this race. Where is Rainey? Just in stow. And he's going to enter the club chicane, so it's another lap at least. The closer you can get to the end, the better. Wortley has made the pass. There's Ellico now in third place. So that must have happened entering Maggots. And not much of a fight because Ellico was coming into the pits anyway. So the first of the splash and dashes are happening. It's the 6 car that we want to see. As Wortley goes through club, they dance up and down on the timing screens. Here comes Andres Schwarz as well. These will be very short pit stops when they get there. Seeley is coming through. I'm just watching the times here. Ellico is getting 7, 8, 9, 9.9 seconds of fuel for the 429 car, so pretty much bang on what we were expecting. It'll be 10 seconds, maybe a tiny bit less, 34 seconds on pit road. So you're looking at about 44 seconds, and the gap to the 72 car, here he is 41.3. So Seeley, if you can keep it straight. Here comes Rainey. Seeley, if he can keep it straight, may just erase that little faux pas he had at Luffield. Cost him about 7 seconds. As Dean Ellico comes into Copse. Here is Rainey now just getting to pit road. And where is the 72 car? Just coming out of club right now. Still stopped on pit road, so Paul Seeley will make the pass. There he goes. Through farm. And up to second place. Meanwhile, we've got a battle in GTE Pro. Hayden Fowler has caught the 888 of Jacques Botha. With 8 minutes to go, we've got a battle for the lead. Dean Ellico has passed Keith Rainey. And Rainey has got a pit lane speed violation. And that is going to be the end of the day for that, and a gift podium position, it looks like, for the 429 car, who puts himself in between this battle for GTE Pro. Botha has driven a great race, but he hasn't earned the win yet. He's got the 28 of Hayden Fowler right on him now. As the camera, I was going to say, as the camera watches Dean Ellico, yes, he's got third place. We want to see this. The LMPs have sorted out. Wortley now back in the lead. Paul Seeley is 14 seconds up the road. Dean Ellico now is on the podium, 10 seconds ahead of Raymond, who is, we are told, is having to come back to pit road again. So, bad things happening in the 6th pit. Good things happening here as we come down to club. Jacques Botha and Hayden Fowler. Little bit of a sausage curb hit there by the 888. And Fowler with a great toe, and he's going to have a look on the inside. Not much of a defense. He can't get in there. They slide through Abbey, and Botha will keep that position. Just a little bit of a momentum loss on the inside there by Fowler, and he's not able to get the pass done. Just calculating the times here. Should be about 3 laps to go when Wortley comes around and crosses the line. There is Rainey. Trying to get whatever toe he can. See if he can shake that Corvette. And I think we got that stuttering sorted out. We can enjoy the end of this race. Gotta love software updates. And Rainey is back in the pits. You can see on the timing board, he's having to serve another penalty. We believe, just hearing from pits now, what they think happened is that he got a pit speeding on the way in, and then when he left the pits, he got another one coming out, so the flag didn't clear, and he's had to come down again. Andreas Schwarz has taken that position now as Rainey is rejoining the circuit. So from leading the race before a splash and go, Keith Rainey now in 5th. And Botha has stretched this gap a little bit. Fowler close enough for a toe, however. As Andreas Schwarz comes through, we'll see what that does to this gap. Actually, it should be good here. He's going to come through. Yeah, it's not going to be an issue, and he'll be by the time they get to Stowe. Fowler does close that gap up a little bit. And a little bit of a lock up there on the left front, and that's going to close it right up. Crossover, Fowler's got the inside for Club. And we have a new leader way outside of track limits. And we don't have a new leader. Fowler again pinched the car. And Botha spent a track limit 1x. And we are status quo again. Way off the track is the 719 of Alico, and he comes out right in front of these guys. Fowler now has the toe, and he's got the line. We head down to Brooklands. Is he finally going to get this done? Last of the late breakers. Botha wiggles under the pedal, but he's got it gathered up and takes Luffield on the inside. We're starting our final lap. As they continue to go side by side, Wayne Wortley is on his last lap on the Wellington Straight. We're going to stick with this. Botha and Fowler will start their final lap here. As into the pits in the background again. Was that Rainey again? As here they come through Club. Right on the tail. Oh, he jumps the sausage curb and a touch! Touch Botha's into the wall. Tries to gather it up. Through goes Hensel. Big damage to the front of that car. Meanwhile, the 48 of Wayne Wortley comes through Vale. And the winner of race 1 in the Summer Super Series is Wayne Wortley in LMP2. Hayden Fowler now leads the GTE class. Here is Jaco Stein. And he is just going to get... No, he is on his final lap here. The GTE cars are behind the GT3s here. So coming through Club to win in his debut in the KRL, Jaco Stein will win GT3 AM. And the stewards are having a look at that incident at Club. Hayden Fowler now coming through Chapel. Botha has got himself sorted in third. Sakalas has already crossed the line behind the LMP2 leader, so he will be fourth. Vorster fifth. So it's going to be a repeat win for the 28 car of Hayden Fowler. Back-to-backs at Silverstone. As we'll get a look at what happened there on board, and you can see he's got so much speed, and then he hops over that curb, and when the car settles, it hits. And it's a quick review for the stewards. Hayden Fowler is going to get a contact penalty there. There is Jan Spammers, who's going to come home in second place in his first race. And let's check out the results. Your LMP2 winner is Wayne Wortley in the number 48 Dallara P217. Paul Seeley will come home in second place ahead of Dean Ellico. That's your podium. Andreas Schwarz in fourth. Keith Rainey with some pit problems at the end will come home in fifth. GT3 Pro, or GTE Pro, is going to be won by Hayden Fowler, but he's going to carry a penalty for the rest of the summer. It wasn't an intentional touch, but they are not going to let that one go. He finishes on the podium ahead of Kevin Hensel and Jacques Botha, who finishes third after a stunning debut here. Andreas Sakalas fourth, Zach Vorster fifth, and Mark Sonnen in sixth. Volters and Johnson not classified, so they will receive no points. That's a new Season 3 rule. And in GT3 AM, what a debut. We had battles up and down. Jaco Stein is going to win the opening race. Jan Spammers comes home in second with Lincoln Russell, a solid third and a great day as he was in battles all 90 minutes. Enos Bothma, the Le Mans winner, comes home in fourth, ahead of Forrest Ellico and Dale Clough. Marcel Struth had to disconnect because of steering wheel problems. We hope he gets that sorted and settled before we head off to Barcelona. Our next race is on the 17th of July, the historic GP circuit in Barcelona, a 2-hour event, and we should have 40 plus cars for that race. We cannot wait. The Summer Super Series going with 3 races, 1 a month, and we will have a 50-car grid set up when we start Season 3 in September. We hope you will join us. Hope you had a good time today, and we will see you in 1 month in Spain.